Hey, welcome back to the Big Red Zone. We are very excited for today's show. Remember, new episodes come out every Wednesday. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the like button on this video as well as all our other videos. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Big Red Zone. And tell a friend. This week, another week in the NFL. We'll break down a few games. Crushing loss. Very disappointing for the Patriots, but our Red Sox are 2 games away from making it to the World Series. We went to the game. We'll talk about that. We'll break down the first few games of the series. And as always, we got the people's topic. All that and more on this week's episode of the Big Red Zone. Welcome to the podcast. This is the Big Red Zone. I'm your host, Big Red. As always, I'm joined by Daily Football.
What's going on, Big Red?
I'm living a dream. Daily Football, I got game 4 on right now. Up 2-1 in the bottom of the second. We got a little rally going again. Coming off of last night, we both went to the game. It's been a ride. My voice it's been through the ringer the last week.
Through the ringer.
It's been through the ringer, I'll tell you. But it's well worth it. I'll do it for the boys. And our Red Sox are 2 games away from the World Series. It feels pretty good. Before we get into everything with NFL and obviously the Red Sox, NBA starts today. With all this excitement, it's hard to believe the NBA starts today. So real quick, we won't talk. I guess we can talk NBA a little bit more next week. But real quick, Danny Football, first day. What's your prediction for the NBA Finals this year?
I'm gonna go Celtics Suns.
Celtics Suns. Hey, 2 years in a row.
Run it back.
Run it back. It's bound to be right. Eventually, it's going to be right. I like the Celtics Suns pick, but I'm going to be kind of boring, and I'm going to just run it back to back. I'm going to go with the Bucks, and I hate to say it, I think the I'm boring. I'm going to go Bucks Nuggets.
Bucks Nuggets. I like that.
Bucks Nuggets. I want to see Joker get his first ring. Could be his only ring, but I want to see Joker
his only ring.
I want to see him get a ring. So Bucks Nuggets. So on that note, let's turn into some football so we can get to the Red Sox. Let's go to the weekend recap. It's the weekend recap. So for weekend recap, we picked 3 games from this weekend's games in the NFL. One of them being the Patriots game. Let's start with the matchup that we all were talking about for the last week, the Jags versus the Dolphins. London series. The Jags get their first win of the Trevor Lawrence era by beating the Dolphins. I said going into this game, this was a trap game for the Dolphins, man. Like, this is a must-win for them. You never want to be that first win on the belt of a winless team. And they got it. They were missing their 2 starting corners going into the game in London. Throws everything off. Tua looked okay. He threw 329 yards or 2 TDs and a pick. But the Jags just found a way to get it done. Trevor Lawrence, 319 and a touchdown. And plus James Robinson, he did his thing. So big win, first win for Trevor Lawrence. Hopefully first of many because I think he is a stud. And that might have just saved, what's his name, a little bit of time. But what's his name, the coach?
Urban Meyer?
It just bought Urban Meyer a couple more weeks as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Waiting to see what happens with the Sox game. Nothing's happening. But I was gonna ask, are you a fan of these London games or no?
I hate them. I'm
not a huge fan. Like, I never remember that they're gonna happen. Then they're happening. I wake up and a couple guys are already going. So I'm not a huge fan. I get why they're doing it, but like you said, trap game. I mean, Miami's looking worse and worse by the week. It's making our loss to them look a lot worse and worse every week.
Hmm.
We knew Trevor Lawrence was going to break through eventually. Urban Meyer, for all been doing the last couple of weeks, they're not a great team, but they're still a team that shouldn't be, winless right now. They played a couple close games, but Miami's on the decline. Jags caught them on a good week, and they took home a W. And whether you want to say it's because they're over in England that it affected one team rather than the other, I mean, both teams had to make the flight. Both teams had to, deal with the time change. Both teams had to play on the field. So I think, Jacksonville is just better than the Miami Dolphins. Are they better than any of the other teams in the league? Probably not. But, you got the second worst team against the worst team and you came out.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jacksonville's offense is better than people give it credit for. They got some nice pieces on there. Trevor Lawrence is obviously going to break through, like you said. James Robinson, he's an unbelievable running back that I think's overlooked in the league. When you got the Christian McCaffreys and Zeke's, like he's kind of an overlooked running back, but he is a solid piece. And then you got Marvin Jones. Um, what's his name? Chenault. Something. I can't pronounce his first name, but Chenault. He's a solid wide receiver, and they got a cast of characters along with those guys. But when you have a solid running back, a good quarterback, and a couple wide receivers, I mean, what else? It's more than the Patriots have. So it's like they should win a few more games. But like what you said with the London series, I get what they're doing. Like I get they're trying to grow the game, and I can tell right now the owners and Roger Goodell want to put a team full time in London. That's the goal. They want to put a team to have a team in London, and I don't know. I think they'll sell tickets. I think it will be fine, but I just think it's such a like a. I just don't like it. I don't like them having it. It's a 9:30 game. No one's really watching it at that time except if you're in London. I guess if if I was gonna say, if you're gonna do it, maybe you do it on a, you know, I don't know, you do it at the 1 o'clock out time frame, and you just have it their game in London later. Maybe you put it at an 8 o'clock time, and you have it play at 4. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I just don't like how it's at 9:30, and then everyone's got to, no one's watching the game anyway. I think it's a waste of time. So I just I don't like it. I kind of like the Mexico series game when they had games in Mexico. Like I feel like because it's on the same timeline, you know what I mean? It's the same. It doesn't really change that much. When you have in London, it's like the players got to go over. It's like it's fun for a quick series, but like as like a steady games, it doesn't make sense. Like I kind of liked how the Red Sox and Yankees played that London series a couple years ago. It was 3 quick games. They played it and then they got out of there. Like if they have like one game a year or something like that, I guess. But they got to kind of work that out because no one's. I can't imagine too many people are watching that 9:30 game, especially if you're on the West Coast. You're gonna wake up at 4 in the morning and watch the Jags versus the Dolphins. Come on, you
Yeah.
better at least make it a marquee matchup if you're gonna put a game in London. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think it's a huge ask to put a team out there. It's a logistical nightmare with travel and making, US teams travel out there and then you're asking guys to, live in England and make the trip over and all that sorts of stuff. So there's a ton of logistical issues with it, but it's been discussed maybe they do first half of their season at home, second half is away, but then again you're asking them to play, you know, 8 straight home games, 8 straight away games, and then you have the one odd duck, but that's still an insane ask for like a San Diego Chargers or like a Rams to fly cross country, cross the ocean, and then land, play a football game. So I know they're definitely thinking about doing it. I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm sure this is something they've thought about and they kind of run through their heads, but I don't think it's the best idea. I think it should just stay a once a year, whatever series type thing. But I know for a fact they're gonna try to do it, and if they do it, I don't know how it's gonna go.
I think that. Do I think it would make money out there? I definitely think they would sell a lot of tickets if they had a game like a team out there. But like you said, it's just a logistical nightmare. They're gonna ask West Coast teams to travel hours on a plane to go play in there. And like you said, do you do half the season at home, half the season away? Well, that's not really fair to your home team. You're gonna have trouble finding players from the NFL to go play in London. To be honest with you, like you're not gonna find guys that say, I want to live in London for half the year and then be able to come home. You know what I mean? I agree. Who played last week? Do you remember who played last week? The first London series? Because
Um,
I didn't even think about the West Coast thing until you said it. Like that makes a lot of sense. Like I can't imagine the Rams are too keen on going to like a Vegas Rams game in London. I can't imagine they're too happy about that.
who was it? I can't remember who it was. Who the
I
fuck?
can't remember, but like unless you're like the Jaguars, that's another thing. Like you're asking a team in the NFL for this London series to give up a home game because the Jaguars are
It
giving
was
up a
Jets
home game.
Falcons.
So like I guess that makes sense. East Coast teams, but you're asking like the Jaguars. Do you think the even the Bucks? Do you think the Bucks are gonna want to give up a home game?
No,
Do you
no.
think like the management isn't going to want to give up a home game because they miss out on all the ticket sales, they miss out on all that stuff. So there's no like I don't see it like a positive for any of these NFL teams going to play in the London series, except for Goodell and I guess owners maybe make a little pocket change out of going over there. But anyways, Jags get their first win. Dolphins are taking a step back, man. We were talking about this as a playoff team within the last few years. Like they were consistently growing to a playoff team, and I mean the bottom has fallen out. They're of the Dolphins of old, and I mean maybe that's going to change now that they got Tua back. But man, that was how the mighty have fallen. Let's go to Sunday Night Football: Bills versus Titans. Last week on the show, I said it was a passing of the torch. The Bills are now the team to beat in the AFC, and you can't let that happen against the Titans. Titans are a good football team, 4-2, sneaky 4-2 team. But I didn't pick them, but I thought for sure the Bills were going to come in and beat the Titans. But King Henry had something to say about that. 143 yards and 3 TDs. And finally, Dave Football is happy about this because he has both these receivers in fantasy football. The AJ Brown Julio Jones connection finally woke up and
Finally
did some
hits.
production.
Finally hits.
But what is some you know what's your general reactions from this game, Dave Football? Because
So this game was going on during the Red Sox game, so I wasn't following it too closely. Um, Apart from like the occasional, looking down at the phone, seeing what's going on, because I knew I had Josh Allen and I needed to get some points out of him. Other than looking at the phone for fantasy, and of course, everyone around me every now and then is saying, "Oh, Buffalo's doing this" or "Titans are doing this." Came down to the wire. Bills had a chance to win, went for it all. I'm never gonna dump on a team for going for the win. It's a game of inches, and the Bills came up a couple inches short. So end of this, it sucks that they lost. It sucks that it got that close, and you come up empty. But the Patriots have been there plenty of times this season, so it works out for us. Bills going to Kansas City, they look like world beaters. We're all thinking, all right, maybe the Bills are just that next tier of team. Titans kind of send them back down to earth. Now the Bills have another loss. It kind of keeps us in the hunt for that division. Not saying that dropping games, that we have in hand is great, but if the Bills aren't going to win games, then we get to keep pace.
yeah, I mean this. We've talked about this with the Bucks Patriots when we had the ball with Mac Jones fourth and a couple yards. I'll never fault a team for having the stones to go out and try to go for the W. I like it. I like the aggressiveness. You got Josh Allen, who's a All Pro QB. You got some weapons on you got like Stephon Diggs. You got a lot of great weapons on that offense. I put in my offense's hands. I 10 out of 10 times. So you can't fall for it. Didn't fault him for it. Didn't work, but you're going to lose games. And I think the Bills are still at the top of the hunt. You know, they got a bye week to kind of regroup and go into it. And like you said, it helps us out. Like, geez, we need it because we just keep blowing these close games, and it's. I mean, I think we can segue. There's not much to say about it. I mean, the Titans did a great job. Bills, played well and they blew it, but it makes me think of like the Patriots. Like, this is a game I really want to talk about. It's like I'm tired of these moral victories. I'm done with them. I said it last week. That was or 2 weeks ago with the Bucks. I'm done with the moral victories. We got to start putting together some wins here. Like, they lost the Cowboys. You had this game. You got a minute something left, and you have the ball. You should win that game 10 out of 10 times. Like, that's a game you got to have. And I mean, Josh McDaniels with some of the worst play calling I've seen in a long time. Uh, you rush the ball, you run the ball every single time, every down you run the ball on first down, and then out of nowhere you want to start like giving the ball to Mac Jones when you're up trying to waste the clock, and then it turns into a pick six. Then you get bailed out that Mac Jones hits a bomb of a touchdown at the end, and it's like defense. When you think about it, I can't really fault the defense too much. They had a pick six in there. So take away 7 points from there, and it's they won you the game. They got enough. They held them enough in check. But man, I'm really getting tired of these moral victories, man. I really can't take it. We got to start putting together some wins. That big first down can after they got the penalty at the end of the game, that set up right before the field goal. That can't happen. You can't let that happen. At the end of the game, they just let them drive. Like there was no stopping them, and I'm at a loss for words because, like you said, we got to start. If we want to do anything this season, you got to have some of these close ones and steal a couple games. And so far, we're not stealing any games. The Bucks and Cowboys, you had to have one of those two games when people thought you were going to lose them, but when you're in them, you got to win a couple of these, and it's just frustrating. I'm getting so frustrated, especially the last play of the game where you just got caught with your pants down. It's like it's bad. It's frustrating, and at some point we got to like look ourselves in the mirror and say, hey, like we got to start winning some of these football games.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, you can't keep taking, oh well, we almost had it, we almost had it, we almost had it. It's, at a certain point, it just becomes, well, why didn't you? And it just boils down to they're just not closing the games out. The Bucks game, you had the chance. I mean, they took the 56-yard field goal, and you miss it. But at the same time, like, you're still gonna give Tom Brady time to come back down and get that field goal. So you might as well just go for it on fourth down, see what you can get, and they don't do it. And then with the Cowboys game, I mean, you said it yourself. They're spitting all over themselves, trying to give the game away. It's definitely frustrating because, like we always say, you got to win the games that you're not supposed to win, and they're losing those games. So you can beat up on the teams you're supposed to beat up on, but it's not going to mean much because even if you do somehow limp your way into the playoffs, it's not going to mean much because you're not beating the good teams. So the second you run into a playoff team, you're going to get trucked. Now they're hanging with the Bills, they're hanging with the Cowboys, but hanging with them isn't going to be good enough because you need to win games to A, keep pace in the division if you're trying to win the division, and B, just hanging with them isn't going to do much in, when it's January and February when you're trying to win playoff games. It's just not good enough. So whether it's, play calling or the personnel or, individual performances, this Patriots team seems to be lacking in a couple of different facets of the game that for some reason just seems to unfurl in those last couple of minutes of the game.
Well, we got about 2 weeks till the trade deadline. What do you think we got to be doing? Like, what's a move that you want to see made before the deadline?
I'd like another secondary piece. Another secondary piece, maybe an offensive lineman. You're probably not going to be able to get all these things, but if I had to put it in a running order, it'd be A, cornerback, B, offensive line, C, I'd like a premier wide receiver. I don't know who's going to be available, who's going to be looking to move who. If you can get freaking Mohamed Sanu for a second round pick, you could probably get anyone for a second round pick.
Yep.
But I'd like to see I'd like to either beef up that secondary because it's getting destroyed. Jalen Mills got torched by CeeDee Lamb on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see something with a secondary. If not, get some offensive line help because, Mac Jones got drilled and gives up a fumble. That kind of flips the game. And then, a premier wide receiver because as much as I love Jacoby Myers and, undrafted, hero, I need like an Allen Robinson type. I need someone who we fucking know. You get this guy the ball in his hands, he's going to make something happen.
Well, that's the guy I'm thinking of right now going into the deadline. And I mean, everyone's talking about Odell. If we got Odell, great. But the guy that I want is Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson has proven that he can go be a top Pro Bowl wide receiver with nothing at quarterback. Like not nothing. Mitch Trubisky gets a lot of hate. And I think we're seeing that he was actually better than a lot of people gave him credit for. I think Mac Jones would be able to hit Allen Robinson a lot and get a lot of use out of him. And think about it. If you throw Allen Robinson out there with Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne, and then maybe, with a tight end, with Hunter Henry's kind of finding, he's like a positive. He's starting to have that good connection with Mac Jones. I think I think you can start doing some good things on offense. Like, I think your offense starts to come together. I mean, I'd like to see them get like a pass catching back. Maybe I think you could find that. And
that won't hurt. That won't hurt.
I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. That could be as simple as signing Todd Gurley. I'm fine if they should go out and look for Todd Gurley. I'd give him a contract today because then at least you're going into games where you don't have to rely on Brandon Bolden and as much as he looks good, Ramon Stevenson. Like I'd be happy going into a running back committee with Damian Harris, Todd Gurley, and then maybe Ramon Stevenson. Like I actually like that a lot. And you can trade for Allen Robinson. He's definitely on the trade market because Justin Fields when he was in Andy Dalton, isn't looking for him. So he wants out. Go get Allen Robinson. Like you said, maybe you can find an offensive lineman somewhere. I think a lot of things will happen when Trent Williams finally comes back from this calf injury, whatever is in this calf. I don't know what happened. I'm ready to go replace. I'm ready to donate my calf to the cause because I like to get this guy back out there. Because you're right, Mac's getting killed out there. He's getting drilled. That fumble was a big play, and it wasn't Mac's fault, man. I think any quarterback in the league would fumble off a hit like that.
Yeah,
he just got trucked.
No, that was bad.
And you're right, the secondary needs some help. So, you could go out maybe get Stephon Gilmore for a 6th round pick. Who knows in 2 years. It's really bad. There's a lot of weaknesses on this team. And if we want to have any chance, which maybe they don't, maybe they're just looking to build a Mac Jones a year and waste a year of Mac Jones. I don't know, man, because this moral is at least let's not go into this. If we're going to do that and say we're developing, let's not go in each week after a loss and say, you know what, we saw a lot of good things. Because I'm tired of this moral victories and, we did a lot of good things. You stunk. You lost. McCarthy was basically handing the game away. Anything you could do wrong as a head coach, McCarthy did. And they somehow fumbled over coffee tables to the win. It's like it's annoying. And last thing on this game, N'Keal Harry stinks. He's just bad. I mean, if you didn't know so already, he's bad. I mean, you have Mac Jones, rookie quarterback Mac Jones, who's in game 5 of his NFL career, screaming at you because you don't know the playbook. That's bad. He shouldn't be on the field. And I mean, was it you saying it at the game, or was it Brian who said N'Keal Harry's agent was acting like he was DeAndre Hopkins?
That was Brian, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know who this guy thinks his agent think this guy is, but this guy is, I don't know what you could get for him. A can of soda.
You're not getting much for him, man. That he's an absolute bust of a 1st round pick.
Yeah, it's just bad, man. And that's kind of to get on Bill Belichick a little bit right now, this where we're at is a lot on him. I don't blame him for the Brady thing as much. You had to make a call, and I think a lot of it was, it was just that it all came to a head and he left and things happen. Like people leave. Where I blame him for is where we're at as a franchise because he missed on first round picks for years. He missed out on first round picks, and that's why we're at where we're at. You missed on 2 tight ends. You didn't believe in Gronk leaving, so you overcorrected and drafted 2 bust tight ends that obviously aren't living up to the hype. So then you have to spend millions of dollars on Hunter Henry and Juana Smith. Maybe if you go draft the tight end in that draft that was so deep with like Cole Kmet and TJ Hawkinson and all them, maybe if you take a Cole Kmet, then you're all set. Now you only need one of them. You don't need to go after Juana Smith. There's a lot of controversy here that really distracted me. I don't know what's going on here. Are you watching this game?
I'm trying to make heads or tails of what just happened.
Oh, Alex Cora is about to get tossed. I love it. He's trying to get in his face. Like, what do you want? What do you want? Alex Cora wants to go fight him. Has there ever been a manager that gets tossed in the ALCS? I haven't seen that too often.
I can only assume that someone at some point got tossed.
This guy wanted he wanted out to fight Alex Cora. Did you see that? Puffed out his chest and was walking towards him. After you make a terrible strike call, his ball was about a foot off the plate. That was bad. A little excitement there. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But anyways, you missed out. I mean, as much as I love Sony Michel and I love, I kind of liked Isaiah Wynn until this year. You missed the last 3 first round picks before Mac Jones was Sony Michel, N'Keal Harry, and Isaiah Wynn. That's a miss. That's a miss. You don't draft a tight end when that was that fully loaded draft of tight ends. Now you're stuck with spending millions of dollars on both 2 top tight ends. That's a miss. You don't have a solid offensive. You have an old, banged up offensive line, so you got to go spend money on Trent. That's a miss. Maybe if you draft DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel, or one of the other guys that was on there, you don't have to go spend money on Nelson Aguilar. Now you get your Kendrick Bourne, you get your one of the guys you drafted and Jacoby Myers, and then you're set. Bill Belichick, as much as I will die on his hill, has had a rough draft the last couple of years before this one, and that is why we're paying the price right now, and that's what it's on him. I don't blame him for the Tom Brady stuff, but picking N'Keal Harry over DK Metcalf, not picking Cole Kmet or another tight end when we had a chance, that's a problem. And I hope we can figure it out. I hope the guys he picked this year hit, and we can start building this team up from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean,
that was my soapbox. Rant.
It's tough to watch at a certain point just because you see the DK Metcalfs of the world, the Debos of the world, the AJ Browns of the world going off, and then we're kind of stuck with N'Keal Harry. But that's just kind of been how it is all the wide receivers we bring out just don't work out, and then for some reason undrafted guys just seem to pop. So it's frustrating, kind of going with that philosophy of using these undrafted guys rather than just getting premier guys that we know are going to work. We don't know how much longer Bill has. I hope it's not too short, but we know it's definitely finite. So I can only hope that either it's this season or next season that we kind of figure things out. Whereas, all right, maybe we just cut our losses, don't even bother trying to draft guys in the first round, wide receiver or running back, because it just never seems to pop. Use those first round picks on positions that you can do, and then you're gonna have to spend money in the offseason on those kind of skill positions. So where we're sitting right now, it's not where we want to be. You want better people, you want better personnel at the positions that you're lacking at. It doesn't help trading away Stephon Gilmore, but you did what you did. We seem to have one of those trades every year where we just kind of give away people for no reason, but You hear now. You gotta, see what you can muster out of it. If you want to be buyers at the deadline, you gotta be buyers. If you're gonna sell, then you gotta sell. So we're gonna see in a couple weeks if this team's in on trying to, actually make some ground, or if they're just gonna punt on the season.
Next week should be a good bounce back week. Hopefully we get a nice win against the Jets, and then we can move on and try to steal another game, beat the Chargers.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's definitely when you gotta get.
so let's move on to our next segment of the night, the picks of the week.
Picks of the week.
Picks of the week. We pick one game from the NFL season, NFL week. Right now, we both got it right last week. I'm a game back. I'm going with the Pats over the Jets. Stay on theme. I picked the Pats over the Jets last time. I'm going to roll the dice and go again. This is a game they got to have. And I think they're going to, I think there's a strong chance they explode in this game. Because, I've been saying it for 3 weeks. They're going to explode. And they're bound to. They're due to explode on a game and blow out a game. They need to blow this team out. They need to blow the Jets out. Zach Wilson looked terrible. We all remember Danny Football's rant about how bad Zach Wilson was last time we played the Jets. We need to beat up on this team, and I hope Mac has a huge day.
Just gotta keep burying that fucking kid.
Yep.
I'm going Bucks over Bears. I'm just gonna keep bullying the Bears. The fact that Aaron Rodgers is able to scramble for a touchdown and then scream at your fan base that he owns you is all I need to see. The Bears are shot. Justin Fields, I really do feel for him. Just if you want to talk about a lost season, it looks like a lost season for the Bears so far. The whole debacle with Dalton or Fields really did cost them early in the season. So I'm going with the Bucks. I think they're going to truck the Bears, and Chicago is going to be looking at Matt Nagy real close.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple weeks ago on the hot seat. This guy's on the hot seat. He's definitely on his way out of Chicago. They got to find a new guy to come in there and try to fix this franchise. All right, let's move on to waiver pickup of the week. Oh, by the way, did you see on Wikipedia that someone changed Wikipedia, the owner
to Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers, that is hilarious. Waiver pickup of the week. I'm going D'Ernest Johnson, 2.5% owned in rostered in ESPN. I know Danny Football is going to hurt to hear this, but Nick Chubb and now Kareem Hunt are going to be out at least next week. Kareem Hunt went on IR, the short-term IR, and they just ruled out Nick Chubb out. So this guy's going to be the lead back, I think. I don't know. So
By default, gotta love it.
Gotta love it. They just signed another guy. Oh, geez. All right, nice. They got to go with someone. So why not Ernest Johnson, huh?
I'm gonna put it out there now. He's definitely someone I'm gonna be looking at because all of my Browns running backs are gone. So why the hell not? I'm going with what was that?
I already got my waiver claims in Danny Football, and you're beating me in I think all the leagues. So he's coming to my roster first, baby. He's coming to me. I'll be listening to trade offers though.
I'd rather die. I'm not going to trade for Johnson. Absolutely not. I'm going to go with the next best option. I'm going to go with I need tight end help this week, so I'm going to go with Cole Kmet. Coming off an 8.9, he had a 9.2 to start the season. He's been up and down a little bit, but tight end's a little thin this year, so I'm going to go Cole Kmet.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's gonna.
What's his roster percentage? I just saw it. Where is it? Yeah, 11.3. It's higher than I thought, but not too bad.
Not too bad. He's definitely available in most leagues. He should be available in pretty much any league you're in. So, not a bad pickup there, if I do say so myself. Danny Football. Let's segue into the Sox, man. This is, we're watching the game right now. They're up in the game. Jeez, Fox. I hate Fox. I can't stand this. I can't believe we're not. I wish.
I've been saying it, dude. I've been saying it.
How bad is John? Who crapped in his coffee when he was here, dude? Because he hates the Red Sox. I don't understand it. All right, we're back. We're winning 2-1 in the top of the fourth. Astros got 2 outs with a guy on first. Gurriel just called a timeout after just immediately stepping in the box, which is very confusing. Uh, but Nicky P's doing pretty good so far. And okay, so moving on. We're up in the series 2-1. I mean, we should be 3-0 in all things considering. If the
Dude,
ball boy,
my socks and four take would be looking so good if we had actually closed out game one.
well, if the ball boy could get out of the way, we would be looking pretty good. That was absolutely Bush League that they have the ball kid in there and he doesn't get out of the way. He just lifts his legs up and saves a run. You want to talk about someone that's a hero of the Houston series? It's the ball boy in left field because he couldn't move his stool out of the way. Uh, not knowing what would happen in the rest of that game, but that's easily another run. But anyways, my Sox and 5 take is still on the table. Uh, they lose that heartbreaking first game where they pretty much had the momentum the entire game except for a quick little lapse. And then the last 2 games, game 2 and game 3, haven't been close. They were talking about it early in the broadcast. It's hard to believe they haven't been in it. This is the first game. This is the first game. Yes, he did. This is the first game Houston's actually been in the game for a extended period of time. You know what I mean? So it's pretty embarrassing. They got blown out game 2 and 3. Sox at home. I don't think there's a more electric home crowd than Fenway Park right now. You were there. You can speak on it. I'm going to turn the mic over to you in a second, but I was at game 3 of the divisional round, and it was electric. It was awesome. Last night was on a different level. Fenway is on fire. I mean, you can hear it in here, and they're turning the crowd down, people, on the broadcast because they don't want you to hear some certain things that are being said at Fenway. But it's electric.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I've been telling everyone. I went with Sox and 4 because I thought we'd be able to go into Houston and take those 2. We almost did, like you said, with the ball boy on the stool, but you go into because my whole point was you can take the 2 in Houston. Like you have Chris Sale, you have Nathan Eovaldi, you can win those 2 games. And then when you come back to Boston, man, that's a wrap. Sox are 3-0 4-0 now, but heading into game 3, they were 3-0 in the postseason. You can tell, even with Fox muffling the crowd noise, you can tell just by looking at it and from what you can faintly hear that Fenway's just on another level this postseason, man. And it's on another level. I think the Yankees wild card game had a lot to do with that. I think getting that rivalry game, win or go home in Fenway, I think that kind of got the juices flowing for the ALDS and now the ALCS. So unfortunately, you lose the game 1. You pick things back up in game 2. You get the split. That's always the goal, I think. If you're the underdog in a series, you need to get home field. Obviously, the split is ideal. So they get the split, come back to Boston for 3. There's not a doubt in my mind that we're going to be able to take this home because, like you and me saw game 3, because we were experiencing it, man. That entire crowd was engaged from first pitch to last out. Whether Kyle Schwarber's hitting a grand slam to send us into a frenzy, or if Kyle Tucker decides to hit a 3-run bomb, it doesn't matter, dude. Like, we're gonna be on you guys no matter what. Relentless, always standing. No one's in their seat. Everyone's locked in. Everyone's paying attention. No one's missing anything. If the ump makes a bad call, the ump's gonna hear about it. If Altuve makes 2 errors in a row, he's gonna hear about it. If Carlos Correa strikes out, he's gonna freaking hear about it because it's not his time anymore. It's our time.
You know what got the crowd really back into it? It wasn't even the home runs. It was right before the home runs on our side. Where you were in right field. We didn't sit together. We were in the sections next to each other. But did you see what got the crowd back into it later in the game with Kyle Tucker?
Oh yeah, just not throwing the ball back into the.
Yeah, he threw the ball to the down the line back into the dugout.
Yeah.
Instead of throwing it to the fans, they jumped all over him, and from that point on, everyone just screamed. Everyone got up. They were screaming at Tucker, and from that point on, it was like it was on. Like it brought the crowd back into it. We could get a couple ding dongs from Kike. Well, there was someone else that hit a home run later in that game, but I'm so fired up. That was it was a fun game to go watch, and the atmosphere is just electric. Another exciting thing in the NL, which we don't have to talk about too much, but it's been three close. It's kind of the opposite of this series. It's been three close contested games in the NLCS. Atlanta, obviously, the first two games at home, they had two walk-offs. The Dodgers have a come from behind victory in the bottom of the eighth. They score 4 runs to go up by one in the bottom of the eighth in game three. Now they're going into game four at home, down 2-1. Uh, what team do you want to see in the what if you could have your pick, who would you want to see in the World Series? Hopefully the Sox hold on. I mean, we talked very confidently, but hopefully the Sox hold on and they win Game 5 and they go to the World Series. But who do you want to see? Oh, you got to be kidding! I hate the shift. Um, big out by Correa. Of course, it was Correa. But who do you want to see get that last? Who do you want to see play the Sox in the World Series?
I mean, Atlanta's hot, man. As much as a 106 win Dodger team scares me, Atlanta's hot, and the Dodgers have seemed vulnerable this entire postseason. I feel like they've been just surviving like by the skin of their teeth all postseason. I think the storylines would be crazy for a Red Sox Dodgers rematch from 2018. You got the Mookie storyline, you got Alex Verdugo. Um, you got kind of like another run it back, East Coast, West Coast, Sox Dodgers. Who can get it done. Red Sox are coming back from a 2-year rebuild. Dodgers have always been on top. Can the Dodgers repeat? So you have a ton of storylines with the Dodgers. Atlanta, that's kind of like they're kind of like the Red Sox of the NL, man. They caught fire at the right time. They're riding a good high right now. They seem dominant. They almost went up 3-0. I'd like to see the Dodgers just because I think they're a little more vulnerable and a little more susceptible to, the Red Sox being able to take that from them. But I think Atlanta's going to take that series. So I think it's going to be Atlanta, Boston.
Yeah, I think who do I think is going to win? I think it's going to be Atlanta. It's hard to tell because I mean, LA's been in every game. Like they like you said, they just find a way to survive. They're like cockroaches. They just find a way to make it through game to game. And I mean, they dropped a couple in Atlanta just because they gave up the two walk offs, but they're right in it. They're right. It's a one run ball game every time, and you're gonna start winning a couple of these. And I think the Dodgers overall are a better team, to be honest with you. Like I just think they're very deep. Obviously they went out and got pretty much any good player in the MLB at the deadline. They just stacked the deck. Um, and I think you're right. I think Atlanta's hot right now. They lost to I don't know if it was today. Yeah, today they lost today, but I think they're a hot team. I like the LA storylines, to be honest with you. Like you said, the Red Sox, beat the LA Dodgers, and everyone said they cheated during that season. So the Dodgers, like, they got gypped out of a World Series, which they didn't. They lost fair and square, but they have that storyline. They want a little revenge against the Sox. You get the LA Boston rivalry as always. You got the Mookie Verdugo who won the trade. You got that Mookie versus old team. You got Verdugo versus old team. You got Kike versus old team. You're gonna face Joe Kelly. I mean, he's the least of all of them, but Joe Kelly was a big piece of that championship a couple of years ago. Um, there's so many storylines in there, and I think it would be entertaining. I think Major League Baseball wants that. I think Major League Baseball wants LA versus Boston as much as they want to, say that it's they don't really care. I think that's who they
Well, I
want.
know I mean, you can almost say for a fact after what that umpire did against the Giants. So maybe they are trying to pull
Yeah,
the strings.
yeah. They want LA to go to the World Series against against the Sox. So I'm a fan of Atlanta. I like Freddie Freeman. I like that team. So I don't really care who goes. We're gonna roll them in three games at home, and then you just got to pick up one of the four away. But exciting. I'm very excited. It was an awesome time at Fenway yesterday, and I got to give all the credit to my man Alex
No,
Cora, man.
that was
He's
crazy, man. That was my first playoff game. That was crazy.
first one ever.
First playoff game.
That's
That was
I'm glad.
nuts.
I'm glad I could share that experience with you, man. We had a good time. All right, so let's get into our final segment of the night, the people's topic. It's the people's topic, baby. People's topic. All right, so for people's topic, you can write in our Instagram and Twitter page at Big Red Zone. Oh man, I'm fumbling. At Big Red Zone, you can give us a follow there and let us know what you want to talk about. This week we got a few. Let's go to Paige.
I
Paige
knew
first.
Paige was going to be one. God
Paige
damn
is
it.
writing in. She doesn't really give us a topic. She says, I cannot put in a topic for you people who go to the Red Sox without me.
Yeah, she was pretty pissed at me last night for not bringing her. Let me see. Let me get some exact words. Let me get some quotes from Paige last night.
Dave Football, if I can teach you anything, happy wife, happy life, man.
My wife was not happy.
She was not happy with you.
You were gonna go with Mrs. and Mr. Big Red without me. I feel very betrayed. I said the Mrs. isn't here. She said, "Oh," she said she was originally going to be. You are no longer my boyfriend. Sad face. I said, "Wow." She said, "I don't date hypocrites. Can't believe you." I said, "Wow" again. She said, "Wow yourself."
That's absolutely outrageous.
Then she threatened to. She said she wouldn't un-RSVP from the Halloween party that your missus is putting on, but she would give me the silent treatment. I said we'll see about that. She said she's gonna change her costume to a Natty winning UMass hockey player. I said I would. I said I would leave. She said revenge. She said she hopes it was worth it. I said it wasn't worth it. Trying to spin this, try to get the spin zone going. She said, maybe I'll give you less of a cold shoulder now. You're at a good game to go for. Sad for me. I'd say we reconciled. I think we got this.
I think you guys figured it out.
I
was pretty nervous in the beginning of that conversation, but
couples fight. Couples fight.
It happens. It happens.
Hit her with a, she said, sad for me. I hit her with a next time, babe. And then she said, there is no next time. We went over this. And then I said, next time again. And she said, fine. So there we go. A win is a win.
Mrs. Big Red really sold us out here. Jeez. Mrs. Big Red just sold us out completely. Jeez.
Yeah.
What the heck's up with that?
Paige was getting fed information. So I like to think that Paige wrote that in when she was still a little scorned. So I think we're good now.
You know what? I think it was in the heat of the moment.
She skips to the end of the episode anyway. So
yeah, she doesn't listen to the whole thing anyway. So, I think we did some serious work here. This is more of like a therapy session, couples therapy instead of people's topic. But I think we did some serious work here.
We uncovered a lot.
What's going on? The DVR people. I don't want to go to anything else besides the Sox game. All right, so that was good. I think that was a very productive people's topic. I think we covered some serious ground here.
Paige tried to expose me, but I got receipts. I got receipts.
You got receipts, and you turned it around.
Sure did.
You're a gentleman. Let's go to Vicky. Pats eventually killing their fans with heart attacks each week.
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong.
That's just a fact. And I'll tell you.
I was the Pats game was finishing up during my rec league soccer game, and man, I could tell you I knew when shit was going down because I could hear everyone on the bench freaking out. So the Pats will cost a couple people their lives by the time the season's over.
Yeah, my health is definitely being disrupted here. Let's go to. Oh, this is a good one. Patriots question. This comes from Cameron. Who's going to replace Belichick when he decides to retire?
I have a bad feeling it's going to be McDaniels, man. I have a bad feeling it's going to be McDaniels, and that dude has been exposed the last couple seasons. It's not good.
Oh man, this is gonna be disappointing. I don't know, man, because I think Belichick's like Brady. I think he's gonna go longer than we. Oh my goodness, he just swung at. Oh, Tuve just swung out of his shoes. I think Belichick's gonna go longer than we thought. Like Brady's going longer than we thought. So who knows when he's gonna finish? And then who's gonna at that time? Who's gonna be an established coach in the league that you know Kraft is gonna want to take a chance on? I hope it's not McDaniels, dude. He's getting absolutely exposed. Who would you rather? I'm gonna spin off this. Who would you rather? Steve Belichick or Josh McDaniels as your head coach?
God, Jesus Christ.
Would you rather?
I prefer McDaniels. At least he has head coaching experience. Steve Belichick seems like he's a fish out of water, man. I don't know what the hell that guy's doing. I don't know what his actual role is. We all know he's only there because his dad is the coach. So I'd go with McDaniels, but not because I have to.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd go McDaniels, but he doesn't have a lot of good experience as a head coach. His teams have just stunk.
True.
So maybe take a chance at a guy that you don't really have any experience. And I mean, he is only there because his dad is the head coach. Let's be real. But he did work his way up. You got to give him some credit. He worked his way up through the organization. He started he did start at the ground floor, and now he's doing whatever he's doing right now. And he's got a great haircut, and he does some crazy things with his
Great haircut.
This is a two-part question. Cameron, this is people's topic. This is taken away from everyone else. But
He's given a show note to this point.
He's giving him his segment on the show. He said, then maybe the Braves, if they choke tonight, will they repeat the choke job of the series like they did last time?
Wow.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a great question. You know what? I started off like, wow, we're getting two questions, but he finished off with two bangers of questions. Man, that's a good question. They did end up choking this one away tonight. I mean, they have the home field advantage, right? So I mean, they've walked off twice. I don't know. What do you say? Do you think the Dodgers win the series or no?
No, because Atlanta did what they had to do. They got their 2 at home. Even if the Dodgers are able to take all 3 in LA, they still have to go back to Atlanta for 2. So I think Atlanta can still take this.
I do think Atlanta does have to win one of these at home away to give them to give them a chance to give them some confidence going into that end of the home series. I think this is going 6 or 7 games. So if they can pull off a win in LA and then go home to close it out, and you have 2 chances to do it, I think that's a good chance. But yeah, I think I want to be different though. I think Atlanta definitely. I think Atlanta's going to win it, but I think the Dodgers do. If Atlanta blinks for a second, the Dodgers are just going to come in and steal 3 quick games in LA, and then it's a best of 2 series, man. If the Dodgers can steal one of those at home, it's over. So, good question, Cam. Good question. No, Joseph Celia. Joseph Celia, if you're listening, man, I missed you, man. This is gonna be a first in a long time. This is like when you mess up a snap streak right now. You're just missing out on a week. First time in a long time. This one coming from the Andy Man 11. Who do you think is the worst division in football?
Oh man,
that's tough.
Hard to not say NFC East. AFC North isn't too great. Oh man,
this is a tough one.
Even the AFC East isn't that hot.
Yeah, I was saying the AFC East is pretty brutal. I mean, the NFC East minus the Cowboys isn't too hot. I'd say it's between the 2 East divisions, and then the AFC South.
AFC South is pretty bad too. Shit.
I mean, I think the AFC South and the AFC East are pretty even, man. Like, I think you go the AFC South. Give them the slight.
I think you say AFC.
Because
Man.
here's how I look at it. The Jags are probably one of the worst teams in the whole
Well, if you
whole.
think about it from this way, Tennessee just beat Buffalo. We beat Houston, but Jacksonville beat Miami. So maybe AFC East is the worst division.
But
Head to
here's what
head.
it's. I mean, head to head, I guess you're right. But looking at it, the Jaguars are one of the worst teams in the whole NFL. But the Jets are one of the worst teams in the NFL. The Dolphins are just slightly better than, even though the record doesn't show, they have one less loss. They must have had. Oh, the Jets had a bye week this week. The Jets have like one less loss than them, but the Texans, I think they're pretty equal with the Texans. Miami and the Texans are kind of even. So then you go to the Colts and Patriots. I think the Colts are better than the Patriots, but the Bills are better than the Titans. But the Titans did just beat the Bills.
They just won.
I don't know. This is
maybe you see. Let's say AFC South with a TBD on. No, yeah, AFC South because New England or the Jets are guaranteed to win next week. So one of those teams will be either the Patriots will be 2-5. Please God, no. So you'll either have a 3-4 team and a 1-5 team, or a 2-5 team and a 2-5 team. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna go AFC South.
We'll go AFC South. We'll have a little bit of pride.
But that is pretty close. Like when you think about
closer
it,
than it should be.
It's scary close. And I mean, going into it, we thought that this division minus the Jets was going to be wide open. Like we thought the Bills, Dolphins, and Patriots would all be fighting for that top spot, and that is sadly mistaken because the Dolphins are terrible and the Patriots are not getting it done. Remember, you can write in each week on our Instagram and Twitter at Big Red Zone. Give us a follow. You can also follow us on TikTok at Big Red Zone. Trying to grow that a little bit. You can also find us the pod on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts as well. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the like button on this video as well as all our other videos. My thanks to Danny Football as always. Let's go Sox.
Go Sox.
Have a great week, everyone.